Welcome to another episode of the Marathon. Life's not a sprint, it's a marathon. My name's Mare. Thanks for hanging out today. I'd love it if you laced up and subscribed. This is Tracy.
Hello.
Longtime marathoner. First time I've ever been like, here's my camera.
Yeah, that's right.
So if you haven't met Tracy, we've been friends for a few years. I was trying to think back today when we first started hanging out, and I think it was when we judged lip sync.
Yeah.
So Tracy and I are friends, and she and I were texting the other night, and she's running for office. Woo. Yeah, she's running for our local school board, and we were texting, and I was like, why on earth would anyone ever do this? Why would you put yourself through this? And so I was like, do you want to be in a vlog? Like, can I ask you questions? I'm just really curious to know. So enter Tracy.
Here I am.
Yeah. So I'll put all Tracy's information below. I just thought it was really interesting to talk to someone who's running, and obviously I'm all about babes supporting babes, and you know, she's a part of the marathon, and I wanted you to meet her. And on a personal note, I just wanted to tell you one story. So this is like something I've never talked about, which is probably gonna make me cry. So like a few days after Jeremy passed away, we obviously had to plan the wake, and I was like, no, I don't need to. I don't have the wherewithal to. So all I did was get Tracy's number, which I didn't have yet, and called her and was like, so can you please take this over? And she did. Like, no questions asked. I don't even know what she did. To be frank, I was like, here's some businesses who I think maybe like me or would want to help, and then you just ran with it. Mm-hmm. And that's like such a testament to Tracy and her character and our friendship. So before I start crying, the reporter in me is like, I've interviewed probably like hundreds of people running for office in the last 15 years, but I've never been able to do it long form or ask questions that I want to ask. Mm-hmm. So here we go.
Yeah, let's get down to
yeah. So you have a couple kids, right?
I do. I have a daughter, Jordan. She's 18. She graduated from Penn High in June, and she's off at Castlegar at Selkirk studying wildlife, fish, and rec. And I have a son, Jackson, who's 11, and he is in KVR Middle School.
So obviously education and school and kids has always been a passion for you, right?
Super big passion.
Like, you've been on PAC, which even just that I always have so much respect for, people who are on PAC.
Yeah, it's always that core group.
Yeah.
That, you know, the doers. Mm-hmm. And, you know, full respect for people that can't, but send checks. Yeah. Fundraising is amazing.
That's me. I'm like, here you go.
And there's been times in my life when that was me, when I had a baby, when Jackson was a baby.
Right.
It was, I would love to support this. How can I support it? Financially? Perfect. Here we go.
Right.
You know, and so it just, there came a point in my life where my daughter was a little bit older and my son started to go through school. So I said, it's time for me to step up to the plate. Mm-hmm.
So for me, like, I'm a public figure, you know, I've been on the radio and news, that sort of thing, since probably like 2004, but the like notoriety aspect of it never really like came into play. I liked, you know, watching the news, I liked listening to the radio, and I thought this would be a super fun job to do. But for you, like, you're going from someone who maybe wasn't in the news all the time, and is that ever something that you would consider before running? Like, I don't know if I want to be a public figure, or does your passion for education trump pretty much any concern?
It's a little bit of both. It was definitely something that it was one of the major considerations, was the public eye. Mm-hmm. But over the last 4 years, I really already am in the public eye. And so I've almost been getting myself ready for this moment. I like to respectfully hold people accountable, and I feel that I've learned the skills where I can still do that and balance that between holding people accountable in a respectful way, mm-hmm. but also hold a place in public office. Right.
That makes sense, for mm-hmm. sure. So when you were thinking like, yeah, I want to run for school board, I'd like to be a trustee, this is something that I'm passionate about, why did you want to?
So many reasons. The current trustees, a lot of them are my friends. I want to get that out right now, because mm-hmm. I have a lot of respect for everything that they do and everything that they have been through, especially surrounding school closures. These people are people and they have lives and they have feelings, and they were under such public scrutiny, and I felt absolutely terrible for them. However, that being said, I believe that things could have been done differently. I believe 100% in transparency, a very strong voice, communication, proper communication. And so I see room for improvement, and I think I'm the person that can do that.
And do you think it plays into the fact that, like, Jordan's 18, Jackson's older too, like, maybe you wouldn't have done this when your kids were younger?
Yep, that was another large thing that I had to consider, as well as having the blessing of my boss, because I have a job as well. And so I had to okay it with him. There was a lot of pieces for sure. My aunt is a trustee in Pemberton.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so I wanted to pick her brain about it. I picked the brains of a few current trustees, past trustees, my boss, my family. I had to have my family's blessing without a doubt. I talked to other public figures, other people that hold positions in public office, and decided it was right for me.
Did anyone say, like, hard pass?
No.
Don't do it?
No. They all...
Interesting.
Interestingly enough, everybody said to me, this is perfect for you. Like, you are the one.
Yeah.
You are the one that could create change. And so, here I am.
Here she is, everybody. Someone who's brave to do it. I think it's interesting because, you know, you just see names on a ballot, or you see names on signs all over town, and you don't think, like, why are they running? Or, like, what's their passion? Tracy and I were just talking about this, like, total side note, and I was saying, why does everyone have all the damn signs? Like, I don't know where you live, but here, it's municipal election, and there are, like, just thousands of signs everywhere. So to me, it's like, do you see the forest for the trees? Kind of like, it just, like, they all kind of blend, and I want to say, like, are we recycling these? Like, what's happening to them? You know, it's like a really interesting thing. So you've chosen to have less signs, kind of like more social media presence, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, social media presence is big for me.
Yeah.
And I ordered 20 signs, count them, 20. There are, I think it's like 15 public spots that we can put these signs. So after those 15 are out, I have 5. And everyone's asking me, you know, can I have a sign? Can I have a sign? And I would love to, but I would have to order more, and then how much clutter do we want?
Interesting. That makes sense why they're all in clumps, because I was like, what's happening here? What's the point? And so something else that Tracy and I have talked about, obviously, is, like, Thomas and children with special needs, or, like, the LGBTQ community, or just people who maybe get pushed aside. Its inclusion has been my #1 thing for Thomas ever since he was in kindergarten. I said, like, I want him in the class as much as possible, and I want, you know, that to be your goal as well. And I've been thrilled with his school team and, like, the people sort of, like, upper level. Is that something that you, I mean, I know it's important to you because I've seen you with Thomas and you and I have talked about it, but are you hearing that from people too? Like, I can't be the only parent who's like, that's a concern for.
It's so important. It is a major focus for me is inclusivity. Like you're saying, regardless of race, disability, gender identification, is that every child has safe, and I can't stress that enough, safe access to education.
Which lots of you probably take for granted. Yeah. But to me, that's a big thing, especially having a son who's nonverbal.
I was the PAC chair at Carmi Elementary for 5 years, and everybody knows everybody. Every teacher knows who belongs in that school at all times.
Yeah, everyone knows Thomas's name. I'm like, and you are.
And that's a
so
good
cool.
thing. That's a really good thing.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, you know, the conversation that you're bringing into Thomas's class and sending a letter home with his with his family. That's key. That is key, because the conversation with empathy starts at home. And and so again, to Carmi, being a community, the empathy piece is practiced hourly, not even daily, and so I've had such a great example.
Yeah, you have. That's true. That's true. Yeah. So what Tracy's talking about is, if you've missed my most recent vlog, every year, so for the last 3 years, we've sent a letter home with every one of Thomas's classmates to the parents, just being like, this is Thomas, this is what he does, this is like a good way to explain it to your kids. No, he's not going to affect their education, like that kind of thing. I didn't want parents to be worried about. He's not going to take away from the teacher. He has his own EA. And then, you know, hoping that if the parent understands and is open to conversation, then when their kids come home and have questions, they'll either know how to answer them or they'll think twice about answering them, you know, nicely. And then also going into the class and answering any questions they have about Thomas too, which I think is nice. Like obviously the teachers do too, but I think the parent thing is great. And what was interesting to me, I think both years, like kindergarten and grade 1, most of the parents in their like teacher parent conferences were like, we're so grateful that Thomas is in this class, which never was ever my like expectation, you know? So I think it's nice that inclusivity and acceptance is important, but then to me it's also important that it's at the trustee level as well, because they're making the decisions, right?
Yeah, safety is huge. It is huge.
What kinds of things are you hearing from parents? Because I'm assuming that now that you're like publicly running, again, putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
Like I know I have people coming up to me to talk about like all kinds of stuff, mental health, special needs, self-care, that kind of stuff. So what kind of things are parents coming to you to talk about? Or what are their kind of like concerns?
I definitely am getting a lot of emails, phone calls, Facebook messages. Kind of the neat thing is I already had that role in the community. At Carmi, we are I think the second school in Penticton to champion traffic calming, because communities surrounding schools were concerned about traffic and speeding and all this stuff. So I have been a resource for a lot of PAC executives to come to me and say, how did you go about doing this? How did you do that? Who do I talk to? So I kind of already have that role, but I love any way I can possibly help. So I would say the biggest one that I'm getting lately and have been getting is surrounding communication. So proper communication. I have this issue at my child's school.
Yeah, interesting.
How do I go about handling it? And
really?
Yeah. Yeah, or what would you suggest, or what's your advice? And one of the reasons that I'm running is because I would like to see change in communication at the school board level. I feel that it could be better. It could definitely be better. And so I would like to see that happen. That's a big thing.
Yeah, I never thought of that before.
So that's the thing. The other thing is safety for children.
Really?
Yeah, safety for children of a disability. The gender identification piece, SOGI, that's been a conversation ongoing I've had. I'm in support of SOS Pride and every child's access to safe education. I can't say that enough.
Wow, that's so interesting to me. And how have you found running so far? Like we're a few weeks into the campaign, you've had some like public forums or debates or whatever.
Yeah, all candidates forums.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have another one next week. It's been fun.
Again, why someone would run. I'm like, why would you do this to yourself?
Yeah. Full nerd disclosure right here.
Well, it takes the right person, I think.
Well, and my passion shines through. So if you get me talking about something I'm passionate about, yeah, it can be a strong opinion. But I am very passionate, and I wouldn't do it if I wasn't passionate. I wouldn't do anything I do in the community if I wasn't passionate about it.
Well, it's so much time.
It is.
So much of your time is like volunteer and going to events, and especially if you're going to be a trustee, like, again, full disclosure, they're not getting paid much. No one's doing this for the money. No. Right? So if you're not passionate about it, like, why would you be doing it? I always like to ask, like, what can people who are watching do? So when can people vote?
Yeah. So you can vote.
Just want to throw that out there.
October 20th. There'll be 2 polling stations.
Okay, I'll link everything below.
Yeah.
Basically, I just wanted to be like, vote.
Yes. Get out and vote.
And then something else that we were talking about before, which is kind of in addition to, obviously we want you to vote, have an informed vote. Side facts, or like side note also, say there's like 6 spots open, you don't have to choose 6 people. You can choose 3, you can choose 1. Like, don't just throw away your vote. But if you are like me and you would never run for public office, but you support people who do, you can also like look at ways to support just like your local school, whether you can't make the commitment like me to be on PAC, but I'm always like, how can I give you my money or my time? Or like for me, I try to use my like voice and my social platform, that sort of thing. And another cool thing, like, I don't know about your school district, but ours has this thing called the Starfish Packs. I actually don't understand how it works. It's so inexpensive, but it's so impactful. So what is the Starfish Pack?
I love talking about starfish so much, so much. You want to talk about passion? Here we go.
I'll just drink my tea.
Yes, here we go. And here we go. So Starfish Pack is a Rotary initiative. I did not think the idea up. I also didn't bring it to Penticton. It was brought to Penticton a year and a half ago, and it started as a pilot project. So it was 10 backpacks in one school. And what it is it's a backpack of food that goes to children in need in Penticton on a Friday so that they have food for the weekend. Because there are children, this is a harsh reality, there are many children in our community who go without food. And our schools are wonderful for their resources. So a lot have a breakfast program. Some have a subsidized hot lunch program. Some have everyday hot lunches that's subsidized. We have a fruit and veggie program within the district. We have a milk program. So these kids, we also have another amazing project. It's run through School District 67, and it's called the Brown Bag Lunch Program. So there is resources and programs for kids that are hungry while they're at school. What happens on Friday afternoon? These children are being fed. They are not having to source out their meals. Friday afternoon comes, and their biggest concern is not, yay, I get to go home and watch TV. Their concern is, where is my next meal coming from? I'm going home. I'm not at school. I don't have breakfast program. I don't have a bag lunch. How am I going to eat over the weekend? So Rotary started this initiative, came into Penticton a year and a half ago as a pilot project. I took it over in August of last year. I joined Rotary to chair this project.
Again, amazing human.
No, but amazing project. So I took it and I ran with it, and I use my relationships in the business community and that strong, dedicated persona I have, and strong-armed a lot of people, and but also a lot of hard work, fundraising, events, grant applications. And I have been able to grow the program from one school, 10 backpacks, to 5 schools, 45 backpacks in a year.
So that's 45 kids and families that have food on the weekend who normally wouldn't.
Correct. So the backpack comes, it's just a little black backpack. It has a starfish logo on it. And you can find this information at...
I'll link it below.
Yeah, starfishpack.com. And it's just a little red starfish. It says Rotary on it. It's a black backpack. It comes with 2 breakfasts, 2 lunches, and 2 dinners. The food is very basic. It's kid-friendly because these backpacks are for the kids. The kids own that food. That's their food. So there may be spaghetti noodles and a jar of spaghetti sauce. So the intent is to use it as your nutrition or add to it and maybe cook as a family together and sit down and have a meal. But there's things like cereal and snacks and apples and oranges and a bunch of different things. So the backpack is $525 to feed one child for one entire year.
Like, how's that possible? $10 a week.
$10 a week. $50 a month.
So I think that's like if you go to Starbucks twice a week, which I know lots of us go more than, like...
I easily throw out $50 worth of food from my fridge easily in a month. And so that money could go...
That's a crazy way to think of it.
...to feed other kids in your community.
Like, how much food's expiring.
Exactly.
That I'm annoyed.
How many salad dressings do you throw out?
Or salad.
Yeah.
Like, that lettuce is brown. Like...
Berries. Oh, yeah. So...
And berries are expensive.
They are expensive. So, and the food is provided to us by Save on Food. It's very grassroots. There's the cost of the food, the backpack. There's a tiny bit of administration cost.
Obviously.
Because it's a charitable.
Right.
It has charitable status, so you can get a tax receipt. So there's a tiny bit of that, but other than that, it is the cost of food and the backpack. It's all volunteer run.
Wow.
Yeah.
I just can't imagine, like, yeah, not eating for the weekend.
The beauty of this program is that it's not just for that. So we saw a situation at a school where there was a death in the family, and a single parent now had to figure out how they were going to be off work dealing with a funeral, expenses, and how to feed their child, their children, and were just lost and didn't know what to do. And the school offered that family this backpack, and that parent was thrilled to start with the same.
And then my camera card filled up right in the middle of that story. So continue, okay. If you remember where you were.
Yeah, I do.
We're crooked. So it wouldn't be a marathon or video if I wasn't fixing the camera at one point. Yes.
So that parent came into the office and said, thank you. Here's the backpack.
Oh my God.
It served its purpose. I need to help another family now.
Oh, wow.
So that was...
So sometimes it's just like not continual. It's like just
it's
when
temporary.
You're in.
Yeah, because I mean, child poverty rates in BC are high. And
no one would think that.
And no one would think that. So, you don't know. This could be your neighbor. This could be your neighbor's children. And you don't think, because we all have such busy lives. And so it's really important to think about this and consider this. One thing I do want to address is the stigma. I want to address the stigma around the backpacks, because it's a question I get quite frequently. And it has been researched, too. So we were uncertain. We'd had the program in place a few months, and people were asking, what about the backpack? Aren't the kids embarrassed? Aren't the kids worried? What are they thinking? They have this backpack of food. Are kids making fun of them? Are they getting bullied? You know, what's happening? I didn't know the answer. So I reached out to other starfish communities, communities that do starfish, and they all kept saying, no, it's not a problem. Well, I need to see for myself. So we went about the year, and 4 of the 5 schools were on the program, and so I kept asking the question, and what I got back were shocked looks on the principals' faces, because they were asking the teachers, asking the kids. They wanted to know, is this real? What is the stigma? No, they found the absolute opposite. Kids, little guys, grade 1, 5, 6 years old, coming down to the office to get their backpacks, and their friend was coming with them to help them carry it. One,
oh my God, kids are amazing.
It's heavy. One has each strap, and they're carrying it down. And in one school, they decided starfish was so important to their school community that they wanted to find a way to fundraise for it. And so one of our schools just donated to me the amount of 1 backpack for a year. They fundraise for that through bake sales and runs and all sorts of stuff. So yeah, it in my opinion, it is an adult problem. It is not a child problem.
And I can attest to that too when it comes to like people with special needs. Like it's never like no one in Thomas's school is bullying him. Yeah. They have questions. They're interested. No one's seen a cochlear implant. I'd never seen a cochlear implant. But it would be way more like adults that had a problem with it, or adults that couldn't wrap their head around it or accept it. As you can tell, she gets passionate. Obviously, about things that are passionate, like important to her. Yeah, okay. Thanks for watching. Please lace up, become a marathoner, subscribe to my channel. Life's not a sprint, it's a marathon. I basically just want to encourage you to vote, whether you vote for this space, whether you even live here, you just like exercise your right to vote. Be informed, vote. All Tracy's information's below. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.